To give you guys, although you know everyone here, but I'm very grateful for Subhash spending all the time in this. We have with us today Mr. Srinath, who will be joining us, Mr. Subramani, Ms. Priya Sundaram, as our mentors today, who will be with us throughout this on and off. We kind of divided the time segment. So just wanted to take this quick moment to thank you on everybody's behalf. Thank you.
So anyone who's joined today first time? Anyone who's not there last time? Shiva. So
I joined first time, Subhash.
So please, Shweta, if you can, 2 minutes. Yeah, Anupama also raised. So what is this initiative?
I think it was, we put it up on the group very simply. It's just a back-to-back coaching session with our mentors because there was a lot of request on mentoring. And I think it just sprang from service to the community and contribution. And also, like, it's a great space to interact with you all to find out what's going on. I love these sessions. I mean, this is just the second one, but I get pretty excited. So just from that space, first 15 minutes, we'll talk about the competency. We're doing listening this month and 45 minutes of back-to-back coaching in breakout rooms. You'll find out how that goes. As you're here, no need to brief you about it. And last 15 minutes for feedback from our mentors and any insights that they have, they'll share with us. So just that. Thank you.
Thank you. Satyajit, over to you.
Yeah, I think I could find listening as a major hurdle when I started coaching. And the major challenge was like handling HR and the sales. Like, so it's a one-way traffic, everything which I want to tell, the next person should listen. But then I started working on Audible, and then Audible initially I was sleeping, and then slowly, I could hear. I took multiple books, and while walking, I was trying to concentrate on that. So I think still I am maybe 60%. Still 40% is lacking, where there are some biases, and immediately solutions to be given. That jump which is happening, and then you stop listening. So those words are missed. The paraphrasing become difficult. The keywords, sometimes my own words come. So that, it takes some time. Initial 60 hours of practice, there was a problem. Then later I could, and especially thanks to the South team, I mean, they were so cute in terms of picking up my words as me as a coach. And then I realized that I should also be able to, pick up those keywords. And then I think the next 40 sessions, I was like able to pick up those keywords and build up on, further discussion. So I think Audible helped me a lot. I tend to, go on Kindle and reading. I like it, but Audible is the most toughest one, and I think everyone should, hear that because it's very slow, and I want to do the things fast. And when you want to do the fast, the listening affects. So, so I think there's a lot of improvement because of Audible.
Over to you, Mani.
Right. Thanks, Subhash. So, I was not prepared for this, but then I think all of us as coaches have to be prepared, right? These competencies have to become part of our life. It's not that when we are in a session, then we are listening, and if we are not, we're not listening. It doesn't work like that, really. So I think I have about 7 minutes out of the 7:15 is when we start. So I'll just focus on two practical aspects of listening. Right. One is about demonstrating what we are listening. Right. So it's not that we are listening and the client will figure out that we are listening. We need to show it to the client that we are listening. That's why it's active listening. Right. It's one way active because we are fully involved, but also because we are involved in letting the client know that we are listening. So what are the parts of demonstrating, right? So if you actually look at the definition in ICF competency, they talk about 3 keywords. They say notice, acknowledge, and explore. So when we are listening, the first part is noticing, because you are there and you're not just listening from your ears, but you're also listening from your other senses. So you're actually seeing what's happening because there are some expressions on the client face, some movement happening there, some body language, shifting here and there, pace of voice, all that, breathing, So all the senses are getting involved. So you're noticing that. And then you're acknowledging it. Because if you're just noticing, the client won't really know. You also acknowledge, right? That's part of demonstrating. But is that enough? So how do you go beyond that and you explore that, right? So if you see competency, when we talk about 6.4, for example, it says that, it's not just noticing the words, but also exploring what they mean, right? So it's a combination of both, because then only you figure out what clearly client meant. And that kind of leads me to the second part, which is the context. So, the context is really important here, because there is a tendency when you're listening to someone to get drawn into their stories and therefore connect it to your story and your context. So it's important to keep in mind that you are listening from client's context, not from your context. Nothing from your experience is coming in, except obviously your coaching practice and the ability you have to ask those questions, right? So how do you talk about context? Context also has multiple components. Who the client is a big part of that context. What is the identity they are bringing to, right? And nothing which they have done in the past goes waste, because what they are today is a collective result of what they have been so far. And therefore, that identity part really becomes important when you listen to the client. You're actually trying to listen, who is this client who is saying these words, these expressions which they're using, right? That's a curiosity you're bringing in when you're listening in. But you're also talking about what are the experiences and the environment they're referring to. It's not that they are isolated, right? It's a system they are part of. So the context is coming from a systemic place. They're talking about people around them, the environment, the relationship, the work they do, what it means to them, all of it. And finally, the why part of it, what are the values which are driving them? What are the beliefs which are driving them? Why are they talking about all this? So if you look at it in terms of these two aspects, demonstrating and then bringing the context in, I think that's the focus we need for listening. I'll just kind of stop there, and if there's anything coming in, probably we can talk about that. Any questions or any queries?
Anupama has a question. Go ahead, Anupama. Unmute.
Yeah. So thanks for sharing, Manish. Very often we get to hear, as I have told you earlier, which clearly becomes, this, that, okay. And sometimes not only once, it comes twice, thrice, as I have told you earlier. And then just, oh my God, then am I giving a message that, the client is not listening? So if something like this comes up, are there any set of tools which can bring us back to this demonstrating the active listening, where we are, but it is not being demonstrated? So where can we take a pause and do something about it?
So if a client is saying this repeatedly, it's a clear signal to you that you're not listening, because you have asked something which they've already said, or you have inquired or explored something which they already clarified to the extent they wanted to, right? So it's a very clear signal. So there's no tool which can, kind of help you normalize that. All you need to do probably is start listening from that moment on, and acknowledge the client in some way at that moment. But that's a very clear, if a client is saying this, it's like a direct statement to you saying that you're not listening to me. There's no two ways on that.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Reflect.
What I would add also is that, see, you can only demonstrate if you're
Yeah.
truly listening. So one is that client maybe are subconsciously picking up the fact that the coach doesn't get me, or the coach doesn't care. Right? I mean, it can be based on where they are, right? It's not on based where we are. It's based on where they are. So it's a good point to, maybe little bit paraphrase, little bit extra curiosity, some demonstration of empathy. So so that we try to understand what they're trying to say, especially if it is repeated. For me, as Mani rightly said, even once client saying that, as I told you before, for me is a red flag. So,
In fact,
but
Anupama, one thing you will often, if you analyze your own state in that moment, you will probably see that you were thinking of something else, or maybe you were planning to ask something and therefore you missed it out in terms of what lines. It's a great space to just look back at yourself, turn the camera around and see that were you out of that context for some time also.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, we'll learn as we grow. Thank you, Mani and Subhash.
Sarah, one last question. Yeah, go ahead.
Last one. Just piggybacking on Mani's earlier answer. So, Mani, one issue which I kind of it comes quite frequently is there is a conscious effort to listen to the client, but many a times I'm already kind of formulating the answer or trying to think of the next question to ask them, right? So that is a hassle because I'm in the meantime I'm missing what they're actually saying, right? So is there a way for me to like kind of stop what I'm doing then and there, and really focus, because it's like the mind is working overtime while listening.
So you talked about conscious effort, Sarah, right? So that's the thing you have to do. So it's a journey to start listening deeper. That's for sure. All of us start at a very superficial level and slowly we go there. So one is that you have to consciously tell yourself that this is the moment to listen and not to think of what to ask. That's a practice you have to build in. Second thing is, I read about this just 2 days back. It's a concept called liminal thinking. I don't know, some of you might have heard about it. And this author talks about, not getting into a routine when you do a coaching session, even for matter, when you do anything. This is the only way you can be fully present is when you are in here and now. And that can happen only if you don't become unconscious about what you're doing. So the point I'm just bringing in the conscious part, which you said, if you are there and seeing that what different do I need to do be conscious today, that's the incremental. So every time you go through this phase and say that, okay, I lost that consciousness for a moment, I was thinking about the question, what else do I need to do? If that attention slowly comes in, and that becomes a part of practice in everything you do, whether you're listening at home, at office, while you're outside, slowly if you can bring in that structure and saying that, let me be conscious for this moment, next 30 seconds, next 1 minute, just be here, not think about what I want to say or what I want to ask. Example, people say that, some of the clients who work with in meetings, they have this urge to say something when someone else is talking and they miss out the point. So if you can just be there, slowly increase it and say next 1 minute, 2 minutes, 30 minutes. That's how. But you have to build that structure for yourself. There's no tonic for this. It's a practice. But great that you talked about a conscious effort there, and that's all you need gradually to build it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So we'll go to the breakout rooms. The plan is we'll take turns to jump into, so Mani, Priya, and me now. Then I think Srinath, perhaps even Swaminathan might join. Any other mentors coming in? Don't get distracted once we come in. So we don't want you to get distracted at all. So we'll hang on for some time. And if you pick up something, we'll interrupt and offer you, and we'll just move to the next breakout room.